council members want to speak? Yep, it's there.
All right. It's working? Got it. Okay. Cool. Yep. My name is Jerry Miller, the president of St. Michael's Evangelical Lutheran Church. This morning we'll be doing our annual meeting. Let's get started. I'll call the meeting to order. It's 12:11 p.m. Pastor, do you want to lead us into devotions and prayer?
Let's bow our heads and pray. Father in heaven, gracious Lord, what a great gift you've given us in this congregation, St. Michael. And we are just so blessed to be a part of this organization, to be a part of this community, to have all of these friends in this place who come together, who profess Jesus, who worship Jesus, who serve Jesus, and who love Jesus, and who love one another. So we thank you, Lord, and we pray that you will continue to bless this congregation in the future. Continue to lead us and guide us. Help us to do the very best ministry we possibly can in your name and to your glory. Today, at this meeting, come, open our hearts and minds. May we treat one another with cordiality, even when we disagree. May we remember that we are brothers and sisters in the Lord. And you lead this meeting, Lord. Even though Jeremy's going to be leading the meeting, we know, Lord, you will use him to lead this meeting as you would have it go. So bless our deliberations, open our hearts and minds to your will, and guide us to where you want us to go. And through it all, we will continue to worship and praise you, for that's our mission. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Approval of last year's minutes.
Agenda.
Agenda. Approval of the agenda. Has everybody taken a look at the agenda? It's on page 2 of the report. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda as written. I have a first. Is there a second? Seconded. Any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor of the motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I have a note here from the sound people that they want you to move your microphone closer to your mouth.
Did they make a motion?
You guys might say your name when you make a motion or second it, so I can put it in official minutes. So I'm sorry for seconding. I did, Linda.
Let us start. Okay, he's got the name.
Would you like us to put a chair here so you can face the congregation? Do you have, Kathy? I got a chair. That's what family gatherings are for.
Good times, right?
All right, moving on. Meeting minutes, page 4. The 2022 annual congregational meeting minutes are on page 4 of the report. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes as written. Looking for a second.
I'll second, Carolyn.
Carolyn seconds. Discussion on the motion as presented. No discussion. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carried. All right, what are we on to? Continuing business, treasurer's report. I'll let our double duty secretary and treasurer. We got to get you a microphone, Kathy.
Hello? There we go. Okay. Best thing to do is look at page 6. And just as a reminder, at the end of each month after I do the bank reconciliation, I put a copy of the treasurer's report up on the board that's on the way out, on the way out to the back parking lot. So you guys can check on the progress of the treasurer's report and financial health of the church at the end of every month, okay? So I just want to thank everybody for the strong financial position we ended up with at the end of the year again. So we have a nice balance of over $155,000 in the checking account. And then as you can tell, we closed in the black with $12,273.50. I'd also like to thank the boards. They were very judicious in their spending. They stuck to their budgets. Some went just a skosh over, but a lot of them stayed under. So they're very good stewards of the responsibilities that you guys delegate. The other thing I'd also like to do, turn to page 7. And I just want to give you guys a big round of applause for, look at the dent you made in the debt in 1 year. And so we're going to be talking a lot about this because we're on track to pay that off in 2023. And I do think we need to have a celebration, don't you, for that?
Absolutely.
That's quite the accomplishment. So again, many, many thanks. We can't even begin to count all the different ways, not only for the budget, but also for special projects. And, you know, the way you support the kids and all the different ministry projects and everything that goes on here at the church. So it's a wonderful place to be, and you should be very proud because not all churches are in this position right now. So thank you very much. Any questions?
Just let go there for a second.
Okay, tangled up. I'm really tangled up.
You are.
There we go.
Any questions for Kathy? Okay.
All right, moving on to
Well, we
audit.
have to vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, treasurer's report. Looking for a motion to approve the treasurer's report as submitted. Sharon Saloff motioned. Mary seconded. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor of the motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. Audit committee report. Is that in here?
That's on page 15.
15.
Page 15.
Give a moment to review.
Why don't you just read it?
Read it.
It's very short.
Whew, this is not in the job description. We have audited the records and the financial reports of St. Michael's Lutheran Church, Ottawa Lake, Michigan, dated Jan 1, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. While our audit was limited primarily to testing selected transactions and balances of the general fund accounts and would not necessarily disclose all errors, we found no evidence of significant errors or omissions. In our opinion, the financial reports mentioned above are fairly stated. We wish to commend the treasurer and the financial specialists for their fine work during the year. On behalf of the congregation, we thank them for their gift of their time and talent. No motion, yeah. Motion to accept the audit report as written. Bill Manor first. Is there a second? Donna. Any discussion on the audit committee's report?
I just want to thank the audit committee, Kathy Mashinsky, Vicki Malloy, and Christine Bischoff. They do a great job. So thank you. Put a lot of time in, too.
Thank you, Pastor. Any other discussion items? All those in favor of the motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried. I need my clicker.
It's over here. sir.
Thank you.
So it's this button, the one that's worn off.
Worn off button. That's saying something. So we've gone through proceedings. So as Kathy mentioned, one thing I want to bring up is it's a pretty pivotal year, especially in terms of finance, to use those finances effectively. And so my report, a very brief report that I have in the annual meeting, is because I wanted to make sure everybody read it. Is that it's there, short, and it's important. Looking at some of the revenues that we've had coming over the past 5 years or so, revenues have been relatively stable, adjusted for inflation, a little bit declining. That is not an indication of poor financial health. It just means the revenues aren't growing. And that's just an indicator that we'll try to address with some of the projects that we have lined up. If you look at what we have in terms of net liquid assets, I know it's difficult to see. The top line is the total liquid assets that we have in the bank account through dedicated and undedicated funds. The red line in the middle is us picking off, the orange line at the bottom is the debt falling off, and the difference in between is the net. So as you can see, as we go into the end of this year, we're going to be positive. We'll have more cash than we have debt. So we'll have a liquid net worth. Yes?
No, I didn't have.
Oh, I thought you had a question. And so if we project that out, so looking at what we have in the current budget, as we'll get to discussing here, we have negative $15K going into 2023 budgeted, but we're closing the note as the treasurer reported. So we'll have plus 19 from that, and then going forward, it's a plus 56K each year that we're not paying down on the debt. So those are the monthly bills that we would normally pay on the debt. So it projects upward pretty aggressively from that point. As you can see, the bottom line ceases to exist. That's the debt being gone. And obviously the delta between no debt and what we have is what we have. So we need to try to adjust going forward on that. So that's my report. Any questions? Nope. Do we need to approve?
For the president's report?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Board reports.
Board reports.
First of all, what council members are here
I think we just have
besides Mark Packer's here, Kathy's here,
Sharon,
Sharon.
Reuter.
Reuter.
Right there in the corner.
Okay. All right. You guys, would you come on up real quick? I can't believe you're sitting in the back row. Okay. Several of our council members had conflicts with today. You know how, like, today you have to plan a vacation like a year in advance, that kind of thing. So one of our council members, who shall remain nameless, is in Mexico on a beach right now. And Andrea Sears, one of our council members, she's actually with the youth group. They're at Spring Hill Christian Camp this weekend. She and Sean and 8 of our youth are there, so that's pretty cool. These two here, I especially wanted to mention, Sharon Reuter and Mark Packer, are leaving the board. They are finishing their terms and going to assume normal congregational life again. So I just wanted to say thank you for all that you did. And just ask you one last time, is there anything you'd like to say to the congregation?
Thank you for the opportunity. Oh,
Wait, you're not that
the mic. Just thank you for the opportunity to serve. It's been a wonderful opportunity, and I've grown a lot through doing it, and I just appreciate all the people who were on the committee and helped out so much. It's just a great opportunity. If you haven't served on a committee or as a chairperson, please consider it, because it is a growing experience.
Mark, you want to say anything?
Amen.
Say it.
That's it.
Say
You
it
said it all. Amen.
All right, well, let's give them a round of applause, and Andrea Sears as well.
That's board reports.
We don't approve them.
Yeah, burned in
They're just for information.
information. Is there any report from WISC?
I guess not.
Guess not. All right, so we'll move on from that. Pastor's report?
Yep. Really busy year, wasn't it? We continue to get back to normal, whatever normal is these days. We're getting back to as close to normal pre-COVID as we can. I've noticed now that the use of the masks has slowed way down. We hardly have anybody taking masks again. People are shaking hands and hugging and stuff again. And I'm really happy that we were able to get back to that, because these expressions of care, expressions of support and love for each other are really important. So let's continue to hope and pray that COVID stays at bay, and that we are able to live our lives to the fullness. So I think we need to thank God for this past year, because we really have, for the most part, gotten back to normal. Some evidence of that is that you'll notice in the brochure here, if you look at statistics, and that's at the front there on page 3 at the bottom, you'll notice that in 2019, the last full year before COVID, we were averaging 140 people in worship. And as of 2020, we only managed 91, which actually I find is an astounding number, given the fact that we were closed for 10 weeks. And then I think actually we were closed a total of 16, because it was 10 weeks in the spring and 6 in the fall. And yet we still, through our outdoor services and so forth, managed to have 91 in attendance. That has grown every year since then. 2022 was 124, and we averaged about 150 people the last 3 months of 2022. So earlier in the year, our attendance was not quite as strong, which would make sense, since we're moving up from 107 to 124. So it was weaker early, and then as the year went by, it just built and built and built. And so I think at one point we had a worship service with 165 people in it. I think that was in November. So that was pretty awesome. And we managed to have over 160 people for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day together, in spite of the really bad weather we had. So we're really coming back strong. I think we are going to, be right there where we were before COVID, and I think we're going to continue to exceed COVID. We added several new members. You'll notice there that we had a net increase in our confirmed active members of 16 people this year. So welcome to any one of you who are new. We're glad to have you be a part of our congregation. And to the folks who have been around a while, remember, make room for them. And those of you who are new, if we don't make room for you, just get the elbows out, okay? All right. Going forward, as I mentioned in my report, if you read my report, we're doing great, but we can't rest on our laurels. To be the church today is really hard. You've seen the articles in the newspaper. You've probably seen news reports on TV, maybe on the internet, about how the church is declining. The church is declining. You hear that all the time. Well, down through the history of the church, there have been periods where the church increased, and there have been periods when the church declined. Through it all, the one constant is the calling that every congregation has, and that is to be the people of God in this place at this time, proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ. And that's what we're going to do, all right? We're not going to listen to all these doom and gloom stories. We're just going to keep coming up with ways to continue to spread the news, spread the gospel, be an inviting congregation, welcome people here, find ways to reach them and invite people here, because we have the truth. We have the gospel of hope. If we don't speak the words of hope, nobody else will. So that's what we're going to do, and we're just going to keep the nose to the grindstone and keep being God's people in this place. All right, I love you all. You guys were great. Thank you for the party you threw me in November. That was awesome. Julie and I haven't quite figured out how we're going to spend the gift yet that you gave us, but we'll figure out something fun. But again, that was quite a surprise, and I thank you for recognizing, my efforts around here. Sometimes I was telling people that a few people that over Christmas time, it's our family tradition. Well, it's my tradition, and I make my family do it. We watch It's a Wonderful Life. And it occurred to me when in the scene where George is leaning over the bridge, and he's been through his life without him having been born, and he's leaning over the bridge and he's praying to God, Lord, I just want my life back. I just want my life back. And then it starts to snow, and he's just like so amazed at everything about his life. And he's so amazed at all these really wonderful people in his life. And even if he has to go to jail, he wants that rather than never having been born. And I walked out of here after my party thinking, these people, they really like me. And like from day to day, it's hard for pastors, it's hard for ministers, and staff will probably tell you this too. Sometimes it's hard for us to see the impact that we as ministers are having in your life. But all those people, all of you who came up and just said, hey, thanks for being there, when I was sick. Thanks for being there when I had my surgery. Thanks for being there when my father died or my mother died. It reminded me that I have to remember that it may not appear to me that I'm making any difference, but you all made sure that I knew that I was making a difference, and I just want to thank you for that. That was kind of my George Bailey moment, right? It's that recognition, we are doing good stuff around here, and I praise God for that, and I praise God for you. So, before I start to cry, I'm going to turn it back over to Jeremy. Thank you. Anyone have any? Thank you. Anyone have any questions for me about anything? So far, it's an easy crowd, Jeremy.
It's an easy crowd so far.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Pastor. So going into election of our nomination of new council members, existing council members with 1 year remaining are myself, Debbie, and Ted. So those positions are currently occupied. Oops. Yeah, going forward, we have. What page is that? Oh, I don't. Yeah, what page is that? Page 29.
Turn to page 29 for the nomination report.
One addition to the nomination report for new members is Reed Olmsted. He will be taking over the youth position. Otherwise, with the exception of stewardship and Christian education, all positions are being occupied on the board this upcoming 2023. Obviously, we're still looking for people to fill in with stewardship and Christian education. Any volunteers? Christian education in particular is a challenging one, but I think it is an essential a piece. So going into this next year, if anybody would like to help in that particular area, I think that would be critically important. So need a motion, correct?
Ask if there's any other nominations.
Any other nominations? No other nominations presented. you. Looking for a motion to approve the slate as presented. Sharon. Looking for a second. Kathy and Raina. She's got her hand up. All right. Any discussion on the slate of new nominees? No discussion. All those in favor of the slate as presented, say aye. All those opposed, motion carried.
You might want to mention the first council meeting.
It's February 13th, correct? Yep, February 13th is the first council meeting. We meet generally in this gathering room over here at 6:30 p.m. No matter what, we're there, 6:30, except for July. That's a joke because I'm usually always running 5 to 10 minutes late. So I try to get down there as quick as I can. So yeah. Let's go back. Agenda. Council elections. All right. Now we move into budget. Oh, I forgot one thing. Bylaw change. So the congregation or the council approved a bylaw change. It's a very simple change. Basically, first, it's when this meeting happens. It's currently slated as. You're looking at me a little confused.
No, I'm just reading.
Oh, okay. Currently slated, it's bylaw B301, that this meeting must occur between the first Sunday of November and the second Sunday of December. That is not right now. So proposal, and given the recent history of when this meeting actually occurs, would be changed to the last Sunday in January and the second Sunday in February. So as long as this meeting occurs between that window, we'd be back in compliance with the bylaws and have the authority to have this meeting during that time. So looking for a motion to approve this change. Sharon Saloff. Keith seconds. Discussion. Any discussion?
Just so you know, the reason why we have the meeting at this time of the year is because it gives our financial people time to put all the final numbers for the previous year together and have them all sliced and diced and all that magic that they do to produce these reports. Otherwise, if you'll remember, back when we had the meeting before the end of the year, we were always operating on like 10 months worth of financial data. Well, you know, November and especially December are big months for the congregation. So I don't know, we've probably been doing it at this time for about 12 years. I don't know how it slipped by, but I guess we just didn't have an eagle eye president like we have now. So anyway, it's been like 12 years that we've been doing it at this time. So.
The other advantage is the audit committee has completed their duties too, so what you see is verified. And we can use those figures to make budgets too, so it's a much better process.
Any questions?
No additional discussion? Moving on to voting. All those in favor of the proposed change to the bylaws B3.01, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. All right. Now we kind of get into trying to report for Ted and Rich and myself all in one presentation here. So I'm going to try to combine a bunch of information and numbers into a few slides. I am going to go kind of quickly. I'll go through quickly just so that I can present all the information and then open it up for discussion or questions. And you can go to page 30 to kind of get a good outline of the financial report. And also there's Ted's Proffers report somewhere in here to kind of go over those as well, those projects as well. So as mentioned multiple times in this meeting, we'll have no more debt, ideally, in 2023. Projections stay the same, finances stay the same, our pay down rate staying the same. It's very likely we'll have no debt going into 2023, or at the end of 2023. Because we have a bunch of options then. This type of like cost coming off the books spurs some initiative. So obviously one of the options is we don't do anything. And what that looks like is basically those lines just keep going up and we're not spending the money that's coming in. As we've talked about with COVID hits in terms of attendance, our church is growing. So we should be able to continue these trends basically if we don't really change anything. We could do that. That is obviously an option. What we end up looking like in 2025 is we have a church that grows at hopefully the rate that we've recovered from since COVID, but we also have close to $271,000, which is a lot. It's a lot to me. So one of the influences of that, again, is the mortgage coming off. So at end of year 2023, we'll have plus 19K and then 56K each recurring year, given that we're assuming that financial trends stay the same. And so there's things the church councils recommend we do something. Generally, doing the status quo was not a very popular option. We both went to engineering school, so.
No, you got it on wrong. You got it on upside down. Turn it this way. There you go.
Like that?
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Boy, at this rate, it would have been easier for me to put batteries in the old one. All right.
Got me?
There
Yep.
we go.
Okay, thank you. No, I broke it.
You just have to put it in your pocket.
Okay. All right. Hear me okay? Yep, okay. So, right. So these three areas, and I added human resources for the council because it's a big cost. We didn't really discuss this a lot in 2023, but we need to take some corrective action there. I think we all kind of admit that, but we don't have that in the budget for 2023. But it is part of like the long-term, maybe this year and next year's outlook. So I wanted to include it. It's a big cost. Outreach and evangelism, properties improvement. So human resources. What you're seeing here, I know it's difficult to see. The gray line is the rate of inflation, a cumulative rate of inflation. And then you're looking at the youth and senior pastors' salary growth. So as you can see, it's comfortably below inflation. We should correct that. So projecting this out, we should see around 7% increases to kind of catch up and meet that in 2025. So that's kind of in these budget proposals and the projects going forward. It's not in the 2023 budget. The 2023 budget has a raise for Pastor and Sean, but this projection right here is just assuming that starting point going forward. So what does that do to our outlook? It basically drops us down at the end of 2025 minus 30K. So you can just see, just barely, that orange line, which is if we do no human resources adjustment, it drops down a little bit. We basically go from having 271K down to 241K at the end of 2025. Is there any questions? No questions. The second major project that the church council has initiated is outreach and evangelism, what we commonly call Project Growth or the Growth Initiative. It's got a couple different names, but basically it's all around growing and outreaching within the community. that particular committee or subcommittee meeting has come up with a series of initiatives based around these 4 points, which is develop an extensive library of videos and pictures, update our mailers and our handouts, our brochures and our postcards, coming up with some type of media release system, that is referring to outreach electronically, either through email or other types of like active sending of material, and then advertising, which is more of a passive consumption of the material. So that would be like on social media or other types of ways to understand what's going on. Generally speaking, it's good for organization. If an organization is doing great things, it's good that people know that those are doing great things. Obviously, for a Christian church, these are obviously very important. So that's one other objective. This is going to be discussed, and a motion will be presented, I hope, to add this particular project. I moved it. Okay. Well,
So where do you want to be?
right here. Okay, I just maybe messed it up. So why is it essential? This goes back to one of the early plots or charts that I showed. As you can see, adjusted for inflation, revenues are kind of dipping down. Cash looks good, finances look good because of the debt falling off, but revenue growth, like a measure of like activity and contribution to the church in this particular monetary way, is going down. And so what does this look like if we were to do this project as well? So this is do the human resources part and then do this as well. That's what this plot is showing here. So if we do human resources, I have a typo there. That's not 32K, that should be 30. If we do the 10K, which is in green, which will be discussed later for 2023, and then another 10K in 2024, potentially, obviously not going to be approved and discussed in this meeting. We're looking going from 241K in the bank to 221. So that's what this project also undertaken. Now we move into properties improvements. The play structure, I am disorientated right there, is in need of repair and is beyond repair. So this is the actual playground set that will be discussed as a price here in a minute. That particular playground set is vinyl clad, 20-year warranty, minimal maintenance on this particular project, high swing height. What that means is bigger kids can use the swings. The bar for the swing isn't 3 feet off the ground. Very visible signal to young parents that we have this youth activity, and to build like that type of like outreach, that visible symbol. This is kind of also related and tied in with the growth project. We want to be able to have facilities that we can showcase that demonstrate our commitment to growing the church. And that's the final bullet point, is that we have a planned project growth video production that we hope to have this particular structure installed before we shoot that video. Difficult to see the numbers. I'll run through the numbers really quick. The color is not correct in the picture. The colors would be those 3 colors that I have at the top here, which is like a green, a dark green, and a almond, I believe it's called. But basically for that play structure, with the play structure itself is $12,000, roughly speaking. And then you add on certain small options in terms of like what we feel are like important safety changes. You're looking at around about $14,000, and then you're looking at another $4,000 to $5,000 in terms of new rubber bits, I don't know what you want to call them, mulch underneath the playground. Additional 170 bags. That's almost $3,500, and then installation is included with this, and another $1,700. So total, right around $18,500 for this playground set. So yeah. Also included is we wanted to put some benches and something for very small kids to play on. So total of this particular project, with the quotes that we have at this moment, is 21 and a half or so thousand. So adding that into, going back to where we would be kind of topic, we've done human resources. Again, forgive my typo, that 32K should be a 30. We do 10K if approved in this particular meeting. We do 24K for the play structure. What do we look like at the end at 2025? Well, we go from having 221K down to 197K. So that's still a healthy chunk of cash in the bank doing those three items already. This is the big one. In the 2023 budget that's going to be hopefully approved here later, we have $5K to reseal, I believe, the west, thank you, west side of the blue. The new building parking lot, thank you. New building parking lot will be resealed, $5K, that's in the budget that's being presented. We have a couple different options we can go with the east parking lot, which is in red. We can overlay it with new asphalt, and the expected lifespan of that particular project would be 10 to 15 years, or we can tear it out and repave it. And the expected lifetime is 30 to 40 years. So comfortably double, and since the price is not half to overlay compared to repave, our recommendation is to repave in 2024. So with that project, that obviously takes a hit. If we do all three projects that we've discussed about already, then add another properties project of 100K in 2024, we go from basically being at 197 in the bank in the 2025 to 97. And we have that 1 year in particular in 2024 where we're doing the project where total revenues would be around 61K. I want to mention now that I'm done presenting, these are all based on trends that have been existing previously. If something influences us going the next 2 years, obviously these projections could change wildly, but based on trends that we can look at in previous reports, that's where we end up. So most of those projects, the big spending ones, human resources, the big one in properties, those are 2024 items, not 2023. So at the special council meeting that we had on January 25th, sounds right. What's that? Was it the 20th? Yeah, that seemed like it was yesterday. 27th, thank you. We decided to adjust the budget that we were going to present at the annual meeting. Basically what we did is we took those two projects for 2023, which would be the Project Growth Project, which goes into advertising and outreach and trying to bring people and let people know that the church is here and what we're doing, and the play structure, we pulled those out. And so we decided to do that so that everybody here could see those major cost items and to give an opportunity to have there's any discussion or debate whether we should initiate those two projects or not. As of right now, these are not in the budget, so I would be looking for a motion. We got to do the budget first, he says. I don't know if I have a slide for the budget. It's in the notes. Yep. Have people had a chance to review the budget? Yes. I'm low, is what you're saying? Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah, I had, really quick, needs microphone. Oh. So what was presented was the question about to at least have the council consider an emergency power source for the building, especially as being obviously important during some inclement weather, and keep the operation of the building open, but also possibly in a, I think I know exactly where, the power went out at my house during that major cold snap, and I had a moment of the generator needs to start. It started, and then I thought, well, I better start calling my neighbors because my neighbors don't have heat. And having that type of capability here at the church to bring people here would be an outstanding a way to communicate with them during their time of need. Outside of that, the property's protection by having emergency power would be also be benefited. Did I capture what you mentioned correctly? All right, okay. That was the open point, yes.
I'm not properties, but I can tell you that we will definitely take your comments about the cost of repaving the parking lot into consideration, but we did go off of a quote that has already been received. Ted Lang got some quotes for us, and one that would tear up.
Microphone.
I'm dropping the ball here.
That's all right. Okay, so Ted Lang, our property board's chair, did get some quotes. So the estimates that we're talking about today, especially for taking the old parking lot down to dirt and starting over again, did come off of an estimate that he received. So, of course, we'll probably run into extra expenses and things, but I just wanted you to know that we're not just pulling that number from somewhere. We did seek a quote.
And please understand, it is just the old parking lot that we're talking about, replacing that part over east of my house, the three-car garage and the playground there. That's the area that we're talking about replacing. Okay. All right. Just a note about what you're seeing here in your brochure. Actually, page 32 is page 1 of the budget, and page 31 is page 2 of the budget, just so you recognize that. The top of the budget is on page 32 on the right-hand side. I didn't notice that when we printed it, that we got it in backwards.
There was another hand up, yes. Could you wait for the microphone just one second?
Yeah, but we're going on, we're going out on the stream, too.
In this play structure area cost, are you taking into account insurance in case of injuries?
So the church generally has liability insurance.
But is this is something in addition to that, correct?
That's correct. So we actually think we have not reached out to our insurance to tell them we were going to do this particular project, so I don't have an adjustment on what the insurance would be. However, we feel right now that what we have is more of a liability risk than what we would be getting. We also plan to put up around this particular play structure clear disclaimers and warnings of its use and how it should be used to try to prevent that. And then also, in addition to that, reason for the $3,500 cost and extra cushioning material is to try to avoid injuries that may occur from using the playground.
But we have a playground already there that's going to be coming down, so.
But you're having an additional structure.
Well, it's just a little bit bigger structure. The old structure is coming down. The new structure is going to be a little bit bigger.
Okay.
But not significantly bigger, probably like 25% bigger, so.
But you have more activity.
Yeah, we get a lot of activity there already. That play structure gets played on anytime we have an event, either a church event or an outside event. Kids are playing on that playground. So, yeah. So, thanks for your comments.
Yep, in the back.
I just wondered, that idea of a generator is a good idea. Are you going to pursue that? And also, if I could put my 2 cents in about that, whatever you call it, we can't see it back here. I wish you would have put it in the paper. I mean, the graph. I mean,
Okay. We apologize for that, Mary.
Yeah, I apologize for the graphs not being there. I did those yesterday. So I chewed and through
And
all these.
we tried to get them as big as we could, but we were kind of
Yeah.
limited in
Yeah.
what we were working with, so sorry about that. But the generator will be pursued.
Well, what I would
We'll
say
make
is-
sure Ted's listening. Hey, Ted, put that on the list of things we got to talk about, okay? All right, done. Okay.
The thing to think about with the parking lot too is that it's good to bring these up because if we're going to ever put anything underneath the ground there, that is the time to do it. If it's going to be tore up and repaved, then that's the time to do it. Yes, there's hands on. Yeah.
Just a couple thoughts. I'm a little concerned with putting off the parking lot until even next year because, our government is further and further trying to get away from oil and costs are going up. And I'm just thinking it's going to escalate even more over the next few years. So I don't know if that's going to increase the cost tremendously there. And also, a few years ago, we were talking about replacing heating units. Has that already been done? Because I thought we had quite a few of them to do at like 5 to 10 each.
It has been discussed. We've had discussions, but we have not moved forward with any type of like concrete plan moving forward. The alternative power idea has also been kind of tossed around with just loose ideas on what we were going to do to try to power the church during an outage or to make the church more efficient. We know that we have issues with the 2 units that are behind the gym. We constantly are repairing those as well. So those items are there. This budget is meant, just to be clear, for 2023. The budget ask right now is like $34,000, with a vast majority of the cash still being on hand for potential financial downturn, the effect of that and what that will do to prices, what it will do to revenue. There's a lot of cash and a lot of flexibility built into this budget because we're holding on the $100,000 spend until next year. And so there is some leeway in our decision-making going into the next couple months, few months.
So we talked about that in council too, about, should we do it this year? But our thinking was, we still have $48,000 to pay off on the mortgage. And we just felt that, I don't know if you know it or not, that playground has been there for 9 years. It was put in November of 2013, so it'll be 10 years in November. And when I look out from my kitchen sink, you can see that it's leaning now. And we've looked at it to make sure it's not going to fall over anytime soon. But we just feel like it's really, the wood has degraded, the screws are pulling out of it. It's just time to replace it. And we just felt that getting that was a safety issue that we had to deal with. And we just felt with paying off the mortgage, those 2 big things had to take priority this year, and then do the parking lot next year. That was our thinking. So, but I agree. I mean, it's like these numbers we're throwing out to you. The caveat is, when we go to get a quote in a year, we could, as Don said, it could be a big surprise on how much it goes up. But that's true with everything that you're buying now. And the budget, I don't know if you notice it there, the budget is about a 9% increase, and that's about what inflation was last year. So we've built in an increase in inflation of about 9%. So, okay.
I think there was another question. Yes.
Hang on. Let me get over here.
All good ideas and good questions must wait 30 seconds. It's new point of order.
when we're adding things to our list, a
Yep.
thing that we deal with when we go to choir practice is lighting. Lighting where we come into the choir
Fair enough.
room on that end, and we walk through the front of the pastor's house. Even if we had something that was motion censored
Yep.
for the people coming down the sidewalks. And a lot of our lighting was put in here, I think, when we were trying to conserve energy in a way. But do they give us light and projected light in the parking lot? No.
Okay,
So that's something, as we
sure.
work on all of this, there is a definite problem on that end of the building for people to come in for meetings or choir. We notice it extensively for choir.
Okay,
You know.
I agree. Wait 1 second. Or is there another question back there?
Okay, I was just going to make a comment.
Okay.
Ted, I know you're listening, and she raises a really good point that we actually haven't talked about, and that is that the lighting on that old parking lot really needs to be upgraded. So we need to think about that as we're thinking about upgrading the parking lot in 2024. We might want to put another pole or two up out there or do something there to increase the lighting on that east parking lot. Oh, yes, and we'd like to have a handrail installed on the stoop on the Temperance Road side by the choir room. That's something you should put on your list, too. Anyone else have any comments? I thought I saw one back here. I don't. Huh. Any other? Hey.
Jean Schmidlin had a question about the dedicated account, if we have any plans for the money in that account.
Some of the
You mean the memorials?
memorials.
Go
Go ahead.
You good? Okay, here's where we stand on the memorials. We wanted to get a clear idea of what we were going to be spending money on in 2023. Some people have said they would like some of their memorial money to go towards the playground. I think about $4,000 of people have said, oh, we'd like our person's memorial to go towards the playground. So what we want to do is just figure out what we're doing, what like this list of things that we're getting together here, you know, the motion sensor lighting and things like that. We'll get a list of projects together, and throughout 23, we will be contacting people who have loved one memorials and saying, hey, which of these projects would you like us to, you know, anything here catch your fancy that you'd like us to do? Or do you have anything in mind you think that needs to be done that you'd like to use that money for? So that will be addressed in 2023. Okey doke? Does that satisfy you? Okay. All right. Yes? Wait.
I was just curious if they ever took in consideration to replace a canopy that covered the back door at one time, so you aren't standing in the rain when you're trying to get in the door?
We have talked about it. It just hasn't been that high of a priority. Because it just, you know, there's so many needs. You know, we have so many needs. And, you know, we didn't really address your question about the replacing of these AC units. And we do, every year we say, you know, doggone it, we'd really like to replace one or two of these units. But then other things take priority. And quite frankly, our mechanical contractor does a really good job of keeping these running. So we're kind of, you know, it's kind of like trying to figure out what's the best thing to spend the money on. So, you know, we just, we're trying to do more of that. We're trying to be more proactive in that. So, but we did replace these two units, and those were the two that really needed to be replaced. But we do have a couple in the back that we really need to think about replacing. So, and Ted is always bringing that up. He always reminds me that we need to get that done at some point. So, all right. Any other questions?
Yeah.
I may have missed the initial comment about getting the bid for the parking lot, but I'm assuming that Ted got more than one bid because the prices out there can vary by quite a bit.
He got two prices for now, and we will get a third price. We'll actually get 3 new prices when we actually go to do it, but he got 2 prices.
One of the reasons we kind of stopped pursuing that is the order of priorities that we have right now. So we got the 2 prices, I think fallish of 2023, and then we started discussing like how we were going to prioritize this, and it came kind of clear, like what Pastor mentioned earlier, that the debt and other projects could be picked off in 2023. So why spend a lot of effort getting a bunch of quotes about a project that won't initiate until 2024? So we'll definitely spend more time on that big spend when we get closer to pulling the trigger on that.
We did have a committee that looked at the playground And they looked at the really inexpensive stuff. They looked at the stuff in the middle, and then they looked at commercial stuff. And the commercial stuff was just way, way out there, 50,000 plus. But what we ended up selecting is one of the issues we've had with that playground is it's just hard to get out there and get that keep that maintained like it ought to be maintained. And so we decided to go with a little more expensive unit that had this vinyl wrap that it has a 20-year warranty. It's very low maintenance. If we go with a lower cost unit, we could probably get a unit for about half the cost. But two things, you have to put it together or pay somebody to do that. This unit we're buying comes with the, we're paying somebody to put it together from the company. And this, the second thing is that we bought, we're going to get like this really nice, very safe ramp that will allow young kids to go up on the playground equipment safely. Right now, our playground that we have, it leans more towards older kids. To get up on the lower platform, you have to climb a ladder. Well, 3 and 4-year-old kids, they struggle to do that. It's not a very safe thing to do. So we built in some new safety features, and I think in the long run, it's going to cost us less to spend the money now than it is to go with a less expensive unit. If you go with a less expensive unit, they're wood. They have to be periodically stained, sealed, and they just we just didn't feel like that with a church situation. We don't know what it's going to be like in 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We don't know who's going to be on council. We don't know how diligent they're going to be at maintaining stuff. So we wanted to get something that would be really low maintenance. Hang on here, Mary.
One thing I know, originally the playground was a Eagle Scout project. Yes. But on this new one, are you going to have like a swing or something for handicap? Because I know that would be extra expense. But maybe down the road there'll be a child coming here that needs it.
We didn't actually talk about handicap swing. The person that was on the committee is going to come here. I'm going to let her talk to that.
We don't have a handicap swing, but we do have an infant swing, a regular traditional swing, and there will be like a horse swing. The handicap swings do get pricey. It is something we can look at. The ramp that is attached to the playground is something that is there. We wanted something like that for the younger children, but also those that might be have some sort of handicap need. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're adding a baby swing. That will be something new. We're adding the baby swing. So
2 steering wheels, 2 telescopes, safety ramp.
Yeah.
If I remember
All
right.
right. Any other questions?
All right.
Okay,
So we have to
I'm
approve.
going to read. Well, first of all, I'm just going to read out the numbers on the budget. If you look at the bottom of page 31. You'll notice there under 2023 proposed budget, right at the bottom, it says total expenses, all right, $356,000, $356,082, okay? And that is a 7.38% increase over the budget from the previous year. It's actually about 9% more than what we actually spent. The 322,000 is what we actually spent. So I wanted you to know that, that number has increased, and that's mostly because of inflation and of course, increases in wages. And then we're projecting then a total income for 2023, and that's at the top of page 32, of $341,250. And so this is not, we're not proposing a budget that is balanced. We're proposing a budget that will be $14,800, $832 in the red, meaning that we'll make up the $14,832 from our cash balance. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that. Because in the past, we've always tried to present balanced budgets. But this year, because of inflation, that may not be possible. So we wanted to be as realistic as possible. If our giving or other sources of income increase, that number will be smaller. If that we don't quite make it, it'll be bigger. But that's our best guess for now. Did that make sense? Okay.
And that was captured in every scenario that I presented as well, the negative 15K for this year, assuming the budget goes perfectly, which they never do, but that's captured in all those scenarios.
Typically, though, our trend is we spend less than what we budget. If you look back over the years, most years we tend to underspend our budgets a little bit. So we've got that in our favor. And that's part of the reason why our cash has increased so much over the years. When I first came here, I think I looked it up. When I first came here 20 years ago, I think we had about $40,000 in cash in our account. So we've gone from 40,000 to 155. So we've done well.
All right. So moving on to approving the budget for 2023 as written. And again, we'll be very clear about this. We are on, oh, go ahead. Yes. Oh, wait. Sorry. Wait for the microphone. Don makes a motion to approve budget as written. Do I have a second? Ron seconds. Ron Fenning seconds. Any further discussion on the budget, 2023 budget as proposed? All those in favor of the budget, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. Now we move on to the two items pulled out of the budget most recently. So we'll start with the Project Growth Initiative. Okay. This is $10,000. Kind of went over through in the presentation. Looking for a motion to approve that additional spend for the Project Growth initiatives. Mark Packer makes the motion as stated.
Kathy, are you seconding? Kathy Fenning seconded.
Thank you. Discussion on that motion.
We probably should do a little better job of telling people what this is all about.
Okay.
So I'd be glad to do that if you want me to.
Oh, I was getting ready, but
do you want to do it?
No.
Okay.
You like to talk.
I do. I do like to talk. That's why you hired me. I am the person who built and manages our website, which is just wrong. But it needed to be done, so I did it a few years ago. And, it's a functional website. If you go on there, you can find all the information that you need. But it's not very appealing. I did the best I can, but it's like I'm limited in what I can put on there because of copyright and different things. And so if you go on there, basically there's no videos on there whatsoever. The pictures are limited. Oftentimes the pictures are old, and I'm just limited because I don't have access to those kinds of things. We do very little with social media here. We have a Facebook page. We stream our services on Sunday morning, but we really don't leverage Facebook, we don't leverage Instagram, we don't leverage, what are the others?
TikTok,
TikTok,
Snapchat, I don't know. I don't use
Snapchat,
these.
all those kinds of things. You know, all those things that people are using today to communicate, we're not using them. And so what this project is about, this Growth Initiatives project, is to try to get the word out about St. Michael. We have a great story to tell, and we don't do a very good job of telling it because we haven't positioned ourselves to do that well. Jacob, would you put up one of those websites? Put up not the one with the drone, but the other one. And okay, so is that a video? I thought this was a video. I'm sure this is a video. Okay. Well, if you go to some church websites today, what you find is you find a video kind of presentation for visitors. So it's like targeted to visitors. It uses high professional video that has been, I better step back here, that has been prepared professionally, something that would be high enough quality you could do an advertisement with it on TV. And so the purpose of that is to attract people's attention, to get them interested in the church right away. And so you have to change those videos from time to time. You can use them on your social media. And so Rich Menzel has worked with a company that will come in and will do a video shoot here at the church for us. We'll do it all in one day, and we'll show all aspects of our church. We'll video all aspects of our church, and then they will take and they will prepare these videos with some guidance from us into little snippets for like short things, little longer stories that tell our story, and then maybe even some longer ones if we need it. We'll get lots of footage that we can pick and choose from to tell our story on our website, on our social media, maybe going out and doing a little bit of advertising. You've seen some of the churches in Toledo. I just think Epworth United Methodist recently had an ad buy. So that's always a possibility in the future. We can also use it here on Sunday mornings on our screens here. One of the projects we have planned is to put a screen out in the sanctuary. Another thing that'll be part of the video shoot is we're going to be asking for people to do short testimonials about what they love about St. Michael and what it means to them and why they're here. Those would be the kinds of things that would play out outside in the gathering room periodically, just for people to be able to get a feel for who we are here at St. Michael and what's so great about this place. So that's part of it. We're also going to ramp up our direct mail. You may, if you lived in Whiteford Township at Christmas time, you probably received a direct mailer from us about our services on Christmas Eve. We're going to do more of that to get the word out. What we're trying to do is to create a sense of we're here, not just in Whiteford Township, but in the surrounding townships and in northern parts of Toledo. If we don't do that, if we don't tell the story, nobody else will. And so I think it's a worthwhile project. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but to get really good, high quality video stories, to get really good, high quality pictures that tell our story, to get some help designing our website so that it's visitor attractive and yet still useful for you and easy to use, and to do the direct mailing. I think the money is well spent. The money will be well spent. You can never toot your horn enough I don't think. And one of the things that we struggle with here in Whiteford Township is that we don't have a Whiteford Township newspaper. And, you know, our people are in different news areas, you know, so it really makes it hard to get the word out about us. And, you know, we're kind of off the beaten path as well. So, you know, we need to continue to keep getting the word out. I will say this one thing. Remember back when we spent $16,000 on the sign? People thought, that's a lot of money, and it was. But I know of at least 2 families that have joined our church because they drove by our sign and saw our sign and joined the church. So started coming to church here. So, I mean, how do you put a price on that? I always say, remember back 15, 16, 18 years ago, we did a mailer, and it cost like $4,000. We went to Bedford, we went to Riga, we went to Blissfield, we went to northern Toledo and Whiteford, and someone said to me, did we ever get any results from that? And I said, I know of one family that came to us because of that mailer. We sent out like 9,000 pieces of mail. Do you know who that one family was? Harlan and Liz Jording. How do you put a price on Harlan and Liz Jording? Did that mailer not pay itself back, you know, dozens of times for having Harlan and Liz around here? So I just think that it's worth considering spending some more money doing those kinds of things.
Yeah, really
Good?
quick. I'll be much.
Okay.
Is that one? Not only did these topics come from council, but there were also members on boards that were trying to do some of these initiatives on their own, using board budgets to try to send out mailers and try to do things like that. So there was a desire coming from inside the church to outreach. I find it important to capitalize on that type of like initiative and to show that we'll support other people doing that. And yeah, that's one of the reasons I drove it forward. And I also believe that the first set of activities that we have are the highest impact. It's where we have the most need. It's the highest impact. I think it's the best use of that $10,000. So, were we in discussion on that motion? Okay. Okay. Any further discussion or questions on the Project Roche initiative, 10,000 extra? No. All right, moving on to vote. All those in favor of that motion as stated, state aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carried. All right, moving on. Budget, playground. Looking for a motion. I think we described it enough, or did you want to go into more detail before we ask for a motion on the playground?
Let's get a motion and do some discussion.
Okay, let's get a motion. Looking for a motion on the play structure as presented, to consider that for addition to the budget. Janet Hutchinson makes the motion. Abby, well, yeah, 2 at the same time. It was. Yeah, Debbie, thank you. Okay, what's that?
I said Debbie's back.
Yep, okay. All right, so open for discussion.
I just want to say one thing about our current playground. Mary mentioned it, that it was an Eagle Scout project. It was Justin Sutherland's Eagle Scout project. Have I got that right? And, you know, I have to tell you, I was a little skeptical about how much use the playground would get. But living right next door to it, my wife will attest to this. I mean, kids are over on that thing all the time. And it's served us well. That playground has served us well. But like everything, you know, it ends up, its life ends up ending, right? Like all of us eventually, right? So I just wanted to say thank you to Justin for that project. It's really, I think, been a nice asset for the church.
Any other discussion on the playground project? None. Moving on to voting. All those in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carried. I believe that ends new business. Is that correct, Pastor? That's what I show. Okay. Yep, I was going to open it up before we adjourn. Any other? Yep, anything else anybody would like to mention while we're all here talking about these things? Yes.
I'll go behind.
I was just wondering if, I know the way that we're doing the bulletins on Sunday, it doesn't give a lot of information like what we used to have. Like we used to have like upcoming week events. For instance, I had no idea that the kids were going on this weekend
Okay.
thing. How does the rest of the congregation know about it, to be able to pray for them, support them? I just think that we're kind of in these silos right now, and I think we really need to get more information out
That's fair enough.
each Sunday. you
Yeah,
know.
I think I agree with you 100%. I think that's one of the reasons where we're trying to add more visual signal when you walk in the building of the events going on, but I also think that we could be maybe a little bit more clear about different things going on, so.
I'd agree with that.
Yep.
And, you know, it really, I need to have just a conversation with my staff about the need to make sure we get all of that information in there. Yeah, so, thanks for bringing that up.
That's a good point, yep.
Yes,
Yes,
hang on,
Gary.
Gary.
We could do this all day. We can then be,
I just want to add too that, you know, that St. Michael's been a blessing to Andrea, myself, and the family, but the reason we found this church was on the website. So Andrea went on the internet. This is the way the new people do it. Us old folks don't do that. But Andrea found St. Michael's by their website.
Yep.
And that's how we searched out and found this church. So and it's been 12, 13 years ago or so. So it holds a lot of weight in the new way that folks go out and look for churches. So I totally support the internet and social media. And
yeah,
things like that.
I completely agree with you, Gary. I think
you.
it's one of those, it's like it used to be the first step to going to a new church was a physical step, like grab the door handle and go in the building. But I think the first step now is that go online, see what's going on. That's now the first step, and that's our first touch. What we have, what's not up there, is our website. That's our first contact. So I think it
One
needs
of
to
the
be cleaned
first
up.
contacts.
Yeah, one of the first contacts, correct.
The
yeah.
second contact today is people go on to our live stream, and they'll watch, and then they show up in church, and they act like they know me. So that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
By the way, those attendance numbers I gave you, they did not include the people watching on the stream. On any given Sunday, we'll have anywhere from 15 to 25 devices will tune in and watch our live stream live. We don't really, at this point, have any way of knowing who goes on and watches it later, but I do talk to people. I know people do go on and watch it later as a video. We are, the technology has allowed us to, I think, to touch people, shut-ins, snowbirds down in Florida or Arizona or Texas. Also, people who get sick. You know, if you get sick and you're unable to attend for a month, let's say, you can still tune in. So thanks to the tech people. You guys do great work, and we'll continue to try to keep that going. All right, any other comments, questions? I'm sorry? Somebody say something? Okay. I would just want to tell all of you, if you see something that needs improved, you don't have to wait till the annual meeting to tell us. Jeremy and myself are more than happy to entertain any comments that you have. We have thick skin, so don't worry about hurting our feelings or anything.
Well, if you're going to hurt feelings, go to him.
Yeah. Just feel free to email us, talk to us in person, text us, however you feel best to communicating with us. Because we are as anxious as you are to make this the best possible place that it can possibly be.
you're in the center.
So,
Okay,
all right?
that's okay. Okay, I think we'll do. All right,
I think we're done.
I think we're done. So I have to have a motion to adjourn this meeting. You're going to do it? Okay.
No, I think you as the president have the power to do that yourself.
I'll do the motion. They're going to.
No, it's, you just say it and it's done.
All right, meeting adjourned, 1:36.
We need to pray.
We need to pray.
All right, let's stand and we'll pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.